welcome to this postal session. As you know that we are in the middle of the conference. 1.5 days has passed and another day and a half remains. And in between, we have organized this round table. It's not really round, it's rectangular. But the objective of this session is to deliberate and share the experiences of something which lies in the future studies and which has a great potential. And the theme that we are talking about is mapping Buddhist archaeological sites. We have got two roundtable papers, one by Professor T. Matthew Shiok from Australian National University, Canberra. And the second paper is by my friend and colleague from India, Mr. Pratapanand Jha from the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts. May I request Mr. Jha to come to my right and occupy this chair. Before I invite the first speaker to make a presentation, let me share some of the experiences and some thoughts what went behind this roundtable and the conference as such. One premise on which we worked upon when we were working on this conference was that it should not be one of the conferences where you go, you read your paper, you answer a few questions, and if you're lucky enough, your paper gets published in the proceedings. More often than not, it is never published, so you publish it somewhere else. And then that's end of it. So we are looking at the applied side of the outcome. And one of the objectives, if you remember the key, the concept note which was circulated to all of you, is to have an understanding on digitally mapping all the sites in South Asia. The idea is that with a click of the button, you have the coordinates, you've got the photographs, whether this site has been excavated, if yes, whether the report has been published, if yes, what is the reference to the report, and so on and so forth. And when we were looking at it, in fact, when I was Googling it, I came across a wonderful site called monasticasia.wiki.com, created by the trio of Professor Shiok with his friends and colleague, Professor Stephen Gordon from the Michigan University and Ann Arbor, and also by Elizabeth Peel from Boston. And what I would request Professor Shiok is to introduce the site first so that we are on the same plane, and then share his experience and his presentation, please. Over to you, Professor Shiok.
Friends, esteemed colleagues, Professor Gaj, and Excellencies, I feel very touched to be invited to be here, and I feel already very uneasy because I've been addressed by the title of Professor. And when I was a child, somebody asked me, what would you like to do, who would like you to be when you are grown up? I said, or maybe a monk, maybe a professor. I'm 65 now, I'm still too young to decide who I'm going to be, but definitely I'm not a monk, definitely not a professor, just a scholar. About 3.5 years ago, somebody who I have never met before, Stuart Gordon, asked me via email whether I would know of a list of Buddhist monasteries from a medieval period in Asia, and with details of the geography and maybe other details, because he is interested in writing a substantial study of contacts across the world, across the Buddhist world. And of course, when you have contacts between monasteries, you would like to know who is dealing with who. And I said, I don't have such a list, but if you are keen, we could build one together. So, after a while, we developed a structure. And I'm going to show you a few things about the structure. And then I'll come to the sort of practical lessons which stem from the exercise, and then some also pointers for the future.
Okay, so this is one of the four components of the technology which we have decided to use for the purposes of our research project. We are looking now at a page which sits on a wiki-like site. It's a kind of a web-like structure with a difference. On the web is very protective of the information which sits on it, and practically only a few people are able to modify the documents on it, and then they have to have a special set of permissions to do so. Wikis been developed for at least for the last 15, if not 20 years, with the idea of making collaboration easy and practical. Of course, there are dangers involved in it. So there's extra precaution that if somebody makes a mistake and deletes some information or deletes the entire page, you can roll back and to the version before the disaster has struck. At the moment, there's three of us working on it. I'm on a side of a. Well, start it this way. Any information which exists requires a container in like a basket in which it can reside. So I'm the basket weaver, intellectual or digital basket weaver, whereas my colleagues, Stuart Gordon and Elizabeth Keel, are responsible for the content. And speaking of which, I feel extremely shy to be in front of you because you know so much and I know so little. And there's a great disparity in terms of your knowledge about Asia and about Buddhism and about particulars of Buddhism, and I'm just like a flat pancake, stretched very thinly across a very large territory. But that gives me an advantage. I don't have fears and hesitations which are normally associated with some sense of with appreciation of the complexity. I simply am like an innocent child wandering and saying, okay, let's catalogue the Buddhist monasteries. So we started the project only to discover some years later that, for example, during the Northern Wei dynasty in China, 386 to 534 Common Era, just subsection of the Greater China had 47 state monasteries, 837 monasteries sponsored by princes and sort of eminent families, and 30,000 other monasteries which operated at local level and were for particular group of believers. At that time, the monastic population for that period, for that number of monasteries, was 2 million monks and nuns. And here there are three guys, one is from Australia, two other people from the United States, trying to catalogue the wealth of the information. Of course, it's not possible, but this needs to be done, and can be done not just by us, but a number of other people at daytime, at day level of involvements, pace of progress, and so on. So the primary address for this developing database is the monastic-Asia full stop wiki.fullstop.com, C-O-M. You get there, and the first thing you see, if you are just a visitor, you see a lot of advertisements. They are necessary evil, because I didn't feel that we should pay money for a service which is experimental at the moment.
if we are now become serious, we will be gladly buying a license and then advertisements will be disabled. However, as a user of it, right now, I see my own page, because I have logged in with my password. So I see the page without the advertisement. Second element is the disclaimer, this work in progress. That means you can please look at it, feel free to play with it, but don't take it seriously, because there are lots of errors, a lot of blunders, and who knows, maybe only a few of them will be identified and eliminated. At the moment, we have worked on the project 43 months, and so far we have catalogued and mapped 604 monasteries, and there are 10 waiting for being mapped. When I say waiting for being mapped, I show you what I mean. Each page is dedicated to a particular complex of buildings. And for example, near Taxila in Punjab, there is a place which is known as Bamala, and I give number 1 to differentiate it from a neighboring building or set of buildings which do not have at least I haven't discovered the separate name. So the page for the Bamala appears, and I use a notation. We give a name, indicate whether it's a monastery or nunnery.
Excuse me, it is not in Punjab, it is in KPK.
Thank you very much. I welcome your email to this effect, and then if it entitles you to one question I am pertaining to the system, and I gladly answer. I intend to exchange your comments, criticism, and corrections for my help with your project. So the terminology is the name of the monastery, indicator whether it's monastery or convent, and then the kind of operators, which are in, near, or towards, and then a major reference point, geographical object, and then using the existing electronic gazetteers, according to the gazetteer I'm using, is still defined as a part of Punjab. And I use internet code PK to indicate this dealing with Pakistan. Then comes a section which deals with the raw data, which comes from a variety of sources, even sort of as graffiti on a wall somewhere in a football stadium in Moscow. I'm joking, of course. Then comes a miniature map indicating roughly the location of the system, and then comes a link which to Google Maps map, which indicates the geographical context of the monastery, and then comes a lot of information which we thought it's useful for our purposes. We can see the same thing by connecting to a different machine which sits in a different part of the world. That goes to my personal website, choi.com, which operates from Canberra, Australia. Whereas previously, when looking at the Wikidot, the machine was residing somewhere in the United Kingdom. And there's a group of 7 maps. The reason why 7, because the body of information to be mapped grows. Each map published via the public access Google Map system can contain no more than details of 200 objects. So a point is one object, a line which has a beginning and then terminating point is 2 objects. If you do a quadrangle, a square, a rectangle, it's 8 objects because you have 4 edges with 2 terminating points. If you exceed the number of objects mapped using Google Map technology, the whole system gets scrambled. So part of our duties is to start developing, dividing and slicing information, so eventually we may end up, if we're diligent enough, with several hundred, let's say 16 or 20 individual maps. sort of a general display, and I'm jumping now to the third element of the project, the Google Maps. And this interesting technology, first of all, gives a complete list of all the things which are contained now within a given geographical zone. And then, I'm talking about Bamala. Okay, I have identified. So can you take us to the left here? I click on a link for Bamala 1, and pops up a little window which points where it is on the map. And then I can start zooming on it, and at the moment the display shows the terrain. But if I'm so inclined, the map still loading, it will come up on the screen because it's a live session. Right. Okay, zoom out a little bit. If I select an option to display information other as a map, then I have an administrative map with some roads and an indication where the rivers are, and the names of places. But I look at the satellite map, and at a more detailed level there would be aerial photographs. I zoom in and in and in, and if you see the left-hand corner of the map at the moment, this stretch of distance covers 5 kilometers in space, but we come a little bit closer, and it's now jumps to 2 kilometer level of resolution, and we come closer and closer, and then so we are 500 meters across, and we can still zoom in, and then some names appear, and we are at the moment, we had 200 meters across. I can still continue zooming in up to 100 meters across, and 50 meters across, and 20 meters across, and there is little droplet indicating the center of a courtyard of the monastery in question. Thank you so much. Now, this window is an active hypertext link. And if I'm inclined in that direction, I can simply click here and jump back to the page which talks about Bamala. And of course, we can flip between between various pages of the project. We can look at the bibliography page, and it's coming up in a moment. Just I don't remember how many positions are there, but 200 or 250 or 300, both published documents and things which have been scanned and published online, the archival materials, and sometimes high-quality electronic documents. We also have a number of facilities attached, so I go back to the, let's say, home page here, and I can select any combination. All the information published is tagged, so that narrows down the searches. So I'm looking for all the places, monastic establishment known in South Asia, or I can only look, focus on the things now associated with the area known as Ladakh. Or I could ask for all the information which about all the information which has shortens, or which are associated with the use of caves, and so on and so on. So I have information organized geographically, but also there are categories. For example, list of sites which have murals or which were known as university sites. And now you go to Vikramashila. And it should appear on the screen any moment. Okay, it's not important. This red baby is the microphone, because I'm going to do some dancing. Thank you so much. Okay. I've written the paper, which is abstract of the paper is published by Dr. Gage and his team. The paper itself already sits on the internet, and once the conference is over, I'm going to make a link from the wiki site dealing with the project. There will be section on the documentation. What I have written is essentially a kind of a manual how to operate a vacuum cleaner or washing machine. Read it only if you feel desperate. I tell you, it's a very boring, plus it has a quality and readability of a telephone directory. It's immensely useful, but now puts you to sleep. However, should you ever be interested in developing your own project using a technology which is easy, which is stable, does not evolve much, which promotes collaboration, which comes free of charge, which is visible online, because this thing is being picked up every day by major search engines of the world. So, if you are associated with a given project which uses that particular configuration of technology, you are overnight a revelation, a star to millions of people who use the internet. Those are the advantages. Major disadvantages, shortcomings of the technology is that, first of all, it comes with advertisements. The wiki, you can disable it, but you have to pay $50 a year to get rid of it. If you're serious, I recommend you the expenditure. Buy 5 years of freedom or 10 years of freedom, and then you can look professional. We are still experimenting with the technology. Secondly, this system, while it's wonderfully supportive of all languages and all scripts available electronically, has major problems with locating information. There is internal search engine attached to the wiki.site. However, the searches are ordered. That means if you are looking for apples and oranges, you get any collection of information which talks about apples, talks about oranges, or sometimes about the two together. There is no known technology at the moment when you can do AND searches. Secondly, you cannot retrieve easily information on the basis of single tag. You cannot do a sort of subset where you look for tag within a group of tags already located. So ultimately, I see it as a kind of a handy notebook, a sketchbook for the ideas, where you can invite as many collaborators from all over the world to comment, to criticize, to advise. And then, once this body of information you're working on becomes a little bit sort of humane, I would advise moving to a serious database sitting on a serious machine, one which is preferably a relational database. You can define also kind of dependencies between a subset of information, and where each item has its unique ID number, and so you don't lose track of what you are doing. Now, time for signaling that this technology is freely available from the internet. So feel free to use the examples and plus the documentation which I have written here. It's about 90 pages in a Word document. The bulk of it are technical appendices with particular scripts written in either in HTML or the Wikidot languages, which help to glue together various parts of the project. So you can have a seamless jumps from one place in the world to another. So this is for you, a present. You can do anything you want with it, and we'll be delighted. We also, my colleagues and I, also look for help from you in exchange for help from us. So, should you spot an error, and there are heaps of them, I'll be a rich man if I had $1 for every error I have made. So, should you spot a problem, let me know. Information which is not corrected remains stupid and unreliable. And all the advice and all the modifications, and thank you very much for the corrigendum regarding the geography of Texila, will be fully acknowledged at the bottom of each page to which correction applies. Also, we are looking for any involvement, anybody, for a couple of days, for a couple of weeks, maybe for a couple of kalpas, on the project. You can be a topical specialist, let's say somebody who works on murals, or somebody who has a knowledge of particular geography or particular religious tradition. You work for as long as you want. It's a volunteer work. We cannot hire people because we don't have the money, we don't have institutional support, which is a weakness, but also a source of joy, because we can do anything, anytime, as we please. We don't have any deadlines to meet. We do not have to write progress reports. No, it's a liberating experience. So, should you feel like liberated woman, or liberated man, or liberated religious person, come and try whether our company is an enjoyable one. Also, I'll be very happy to lend help and advice to anybody who seriously is working on matters pertaining to Buddhism. How you use your technology is up to you. But if there is some ambiguity, I can gladly help. And I can see the help at two levels. One, if you send me a correction to our blunders, I will help you with your particular query. On the other hand, should you like to be trained, if there's a seminar or workshop, I can fly in. I'm blessed in that sense that I can travel. But I would welcome somebody to give me accommodation and food, and also opportunity to give one paper or seminar to eager students. There's nothing more depressing than dealing with students who are bored and disinterested. However, if they're eager, well, there's a chance to corrupt them toward the side of goodness and light. So, we are happy also to make a link to anybody's project, where it doesn't matter which technology, websites and databases and wiki sites and so on. We have so far developed quite a visibility online. So by us linking to you, we make you more visible and more easily locatable on the internet. So in the future, let's say the next 2 years, 3 years, I can imagine there will be might be an archipelago of friendly sites who are roughly working toward the same goal, and they have keep a good eye on each other and come with an advice and say, well, this is not millennium. This is not the word millennium, right, with double L, double M. Or they say thank you very much. No, I forgot about it. So there's little neighborly help and advice.
Having said all what I have said so far, it definitely is a question of the future. The internet, the electronic media, all the technology, the computers are here with us for long future. They are not going to go away. Technology becomes ubiquitous. It becomes like electricity, like petrol stations and telephones. It simply is going to be around us. And if we don't know what we do, we are being controlled and limited by it. If we are a little bit proactive, then we gain the control of our future. One of the ways to achieve this is to agree among ourselves on minimal standards. You can always be as excellent as you only wish, but there should be a level below which no one should drop. So minimal standards for number of operations. First of all, when information is published, places should be referred not only by their names, but also by geographical coordinates. And I was happy to see that some of the papers delivered so far gave the information, geographical information, in DMS, degrees, minutes, and seconds format. That would be very useful if it were immediately augmented by coordinates given in decimal format. Because the world, as I can see, moves increasingly with increasing speed towards sort of standardized around decimal notation. Second big problem is the resource discovery. We can work till we have purple on our faces, till the spouses and associates say, enough, I never want to see you because you're never at home. And have very little resonance in the rest of the world. The reason is a good project has a set of metadata annotations which help machines, stupid morons, operating at the speed of light, to locate our work and make a précis out of our efforts. What kind of data standards, metadata standards, the sangha of scholars and observers would prefer is an open question. For my own research on trade routes of Central Asia, I have developed my own set of metadata standards based on modified version of Dublin Core specifications, which are, I think, about 15 years old now, or if not older. The other possibility is to use standards developed and, to my knowledge, never implemented by a group of researchers coming under the umbrella of the Electronic Cultural Atlas Initiative. There is a magnificent document. I was a part of the project, the developing specifications. The lead writer was Dr. Helen Jarvis, a librarian from Sydney. Bravely helped by Dr. Ian Johnson from the Department of Archaeology, and now I think Spatial Analysis Unit at Sydney University. Or maybe it's time to look at new possibilities. Maybe we could develop our own SAARC standard for annotating very briefly. It has to be succinct, because if it's lengthy business, it's like going to a dentist. You don't want to do it. So you don't fill in all the details, so you will remain invisible and anonymous on that. Another standard, which is worth looking at. As you notice, we progressed from a scale of 1 to 22 million, seeing the 3/4 of Asia, up to a level where we could see individual pillars in the courtyard of a monastery by the riverside. We need to decide here well in advance how precise is going to be our mapping. Some years ago, a life of a historian was simple, because all you had to do is you get a map and put some big dots on it, and they say, well, roughly. And then that would cover an area of 50 kilometers across. But no one would object, because there was no way to see the discrepancy between point you refer to by symbol and object on the, in the real life, in the terrain. So, need to decide at what
what is the degree of precision for locating cities versus buildings or areas in a city. Buildings versus its contents, because a building consists of rooms, and the rooms may have, let's say, a sculpture or a stupa in the middle of it. We have to make some rough decisions. I think better to have some better guidance to start with than no guidance at all. Finally, as I was preparing the paper called the Mapping the Context of the Buddhist World, and I'm grateful to Dr. Garge, because without his inducement and encouragement, I would be a lazy man. When I was writing it, I realized that so many places are referred, that they have names. Some places were lucky, they have just one name no one knows. But others may have up to 40 names. That depends on the language which is used. A variety of European languages, a variety of Asian languages, variety of script transcription systems, Wade-Giles versus Pinyin, and so on and so on. And the names, and some of the names are poetic, some names been introduced now 300 years after the given institution was established. One goes crazy. So why not to give them unique ID numbers, and then they can be called anytime they want, but you say, this is a place, number so and so, which at various periods of time, according to various writers and so on, were referred to, and then, if we want, we can give the full enumeration of all possible names. And then came another subversive idea to my mind, and please guide me. The historical depth of thought about Buddhism, well, I can say easily in excess of 2,500 years. I know that some manuscripts got the unique reference numbers, and they can be referred to by such ID. But do pilgrims, local rulers, abbots, eminent nuns are otherwise identified then by the name, saying that so-and-so was the abbot of Nalanda, and another person was a famous guru who went to Tibet. Maybe every person of importance to Buddhism should be given unique ID numbers. So we can then eliminate a lot of confusion, because some names were used several times in a number of contexts. Some of the names were given posthumously as honorific titles. Some names were given sort of with a tongue-in-cheek, and so on and so on. It would be nice to have a way of bringing together all the cloud of names to people. And once we have the buildings and places also numbered, well, computers will be happy forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Georg. Can I ask you to log off, and before I open the floor? No, it's in the open the site, please. monastic-asia.wiki.com. What I meant was that it should not be logged in as an administrator. Before I open the floor to the questions and queries, I invite any one of you who would like to put this database to test and find out information that you are looking for. Any one of you can move up to the computer, and this site is there on any site which might have been located. Dr. Ganbir from Deccan College. Before that, let me ask you, were you aware of this site before? No. This site, Monastic Asia. Were you aware of this project?
No.
Go ahead. We need people like you. No, because they are the best judge. You know, when you start from a shunya, you can only grow up. Monastic-asia.com. Wiki.com. Yeah.
But if you are in trouble, go to Google, ask for more.
It's already there.
And then we see the system together with advertisements.
Yeah. There you are. There are 3 entries.
Yeah.
Well, it's not me, it's Google Earth.
Yeah, so that was for the plotting, but there's a lot of other information which is, if you can go back to the previous page, Rajiv, the previous step. This one. Yeah. And you can scroll down slowly. So we get the final data, that is longitude, the coordinates, the map link, go on. Then the name or the various names which would be listed in number 1. Go on. Modern country and province, so that's the geographical information. Alternative and historical names. So it comes here. And other coordinates. Nearby monastery. Now this is very important for the historian to have linkages between the contemporary or a later period sites which have been identified in that area. Yeah.
Can I share the Chinese temple?
Yes, please. Go ahead. Go back to the home page.
It may not be in the catalog yet, but go to all places like in China, using the tags.
Text on the left hand. Can you help?
In the catalog. This is the beginning. Select China from the menu in here, and then look at the things which sound familiar.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, not yet. Fine. You can send the information by email to Professor Chiok and he would acknowledge it, your contribution.
I have 200 temples in the same name.
Right. So let us give a big round of applause to Professor Chiok. Now I open the floor for questions and comments. Can we have the hands up? And Divakar Singh from Delhi.
First of all, my heartiest congratulations for making such a huge database for monastic sites. I have only one simple doubt, that some of the monasteries or some of the sites have, they are still shrouded in obscurity, or there are a lot of contention over the identity of that particular site. In that case, I think one needs to be very careful while locating and giving the particular identification. One. Second thing which I would like to draw your attention, I would like to know from you, though you have made it clear, still I have some doubts. How do you think that this data would sort of differ from the whatever we have in Wikipedia or else?
The answer is I don't know. It's for you to use.
Okay.
You know the principle of lotus growing from mud. I provided mud. Now it's your turn to develop lotus.
No, the first question still revolves around the identity of this. People have lot of contention. Somebody will come and say, no, this site should be identified with the A, and somebody like some other archaeologist or some other fellow, he will come along with the substantial evidence and will say, no, site should be identified as B. Then in that case, the identity itself is a big problem. So in that sense, I think. Thanks.
The reason why an engineer will never be a friend with a mathematician is that if you ask a mathematician about the value of pi, he will throw the hands up and say, well, it's infinite, it's not inexpressible, ineffable, and so on. An engineer says, well, why don't we take the first 5 digits post-decimal point, it somehow is going to work. I've been cut my teeth intellectually working with being a computer programmer. And then since 1991 working with the internet. And the idea is that you start in a way you know that you are already at the very moment when you do the work that you are in the error, but by going public with it, you open yourself to criticism, because what's important is the ultimate truth, not your feelings. And by going with your statement saying, I know there's a provisional tentative approach, please correct me, there's a chance for somebody to leap in and provide the solution correction. This has been known as the idea, there's a famous debate where the information is published as a kind of a crystalline cathedral, which is kept under wraps until the moment it's being opened, or you go to a public bazaar with few of your words and say, this is not what's happening, what do you think? And every man and every dog and every donkey passing by, they have something to offer. And eventually, this is the great wisdom in the crowd. There have been experiments done many times that one person may err. However, having a perspective from a number of angles, all problems are shallow, providing there is a sufficient number of eyeballs. And also that no one feels particularly attached to a particular point of view. That the truth is a series of approximations and not on and off proposition. So in that sense, it does not worry me, but I'm aware that you may be let down and disappointed. The only assurance I can give you, whenever you come to the monastic-asia wiki.com site, the first thing you see is a big disclaimer, work in progress. Do not be reliant in any serious way as long as there's no decision in place. And so that I'm not selling things to people pretending that I know. I'm telling them, well, I'm still learning.
Thank you. We can have a couple of more questions. Maybe first, we can give.
Mic is here.
The mics can travel. Sierra Misha Haldar from Yes,
You are very sir, done a very wonderful job.
somebody has switched it off. There's a conspiracy.
Really, you have done a good work. And my question is that you have mapped all the monasteries in Asia. Along with the monasteries, you have also mapped the stupas with that, or just only monasteries?
What constitutes a monastery? Is it a building or is it an institution? If it's I'm inclined to see it as a set of buildings which are containers for people dedicated to a particular way of life. And of course there are component parts. There would be, some places would be granaries, in other places would be the prayer halls, and in other contexts would be meditation halls. So that leads to another question. When one does the georeferencing, trying to put a symbol with particular geographical coordinates on an object which has particular geographical coordinates, the question: where do you put it? At the front entrance to the precinct, or at the rooftop of the main building, or center of the courtyard, or top of a stupa, or on the only remaining bit structure. At the moment we do it in any which way, and the guidance of archaeologists and your agreement on what constitutes a correct way of measuring coordinates would be very helpful. Few months ago, somebody volunteered that they will go to Japan and take a number of georeference photographs of buildings. So I suggested that if you take the photographs, stand on next to the facing the temple, left architrave within the hand reach distance from the post, and then every temple you visit, take measurements from that spot. At least there will be some consistency among person taking the measurements. What the man has done a glorious job documenting 16th century Japanese temples, which are outside of the scope of our interest, but it was interesting to see a volunteer offering his time and skills.
Can we have another question from Bindu Prabhupada from there's an idea.
And if you could open it out for visitors to blogging and submit the comments, which subject to your editing, it could make things easier for people who have questions about the identity or the name of the place. If you could provide that in your website. Because you are already under Creative Commons, so I think it could be fair to...
There's a problem. Initially, there was a scope for the input, and the site was vandalized. You live in a quiet world, you don't know how many idiots are around. I think now there will be close to 1 billion people at least on the internet, and who take great delight in being stupid. And I don't have the time, because I also have other obligations and also other projects. So I have to measure my time, so I finish the job which I allocated myself. So I cannot be the moderator of the contributions. It's a full-time responsibility. So I rather rely on the personal email, and if it's sensible, yes, I use it. If it's unacceptable, I ignore it. It simplifies my life. There was a moment when I had about 850 emails a day. But that was when I was working for the university and full-time. I tell you, you don't travel anywhere because you know that every day of your absence means 850 new emails. So on return from holidays, I would spend the first 3 days going through the, in fact, what was like working in a rubbish heap.
Why not have a set of volunteers or coordinate with SAARC and other bodies?
One of the purposes of this roundtable and the debate that it generates is to how to sustain this initiative, a very laudable initiative, I would say, and carry it to the next level. And I mean, can I just supplement to what? By the way, those who are not aware, Mr. Dayal Dissanayake is an eminent author of Sri Lanka, and he is the first Asian to have written the e-novel, way back in 98 or 98. So, well, so a short answer, supplement to what Professor Shiroka has already said, that Wikidot is one technology which gives you all those administrative rights. You can limit anyone can log into your site and become a member if you give the membership right, and then you can define the membership right that up to here and no further. So whether they can contribute, whether they can, it's something like on the same Wikipedia philosophy, where every correction, every amendment and change is identified with its logger's number. And added to that is another advantage for Wikidot, that you at any point in time you can revert to the previous version. So you, I mean, if somebody plays tricks with your website and in your liberal attitude you accepted it and published it online, but if somebody else points it out that it's not okay, so you can revert it to like a system restorer in a computer.
I think I'm the only one who has used this website, and I have to say I find it more useful than Wikipedia because it simply puts things together. Usually if I go to a new place or whatever, I use it as a first reference because it gives, for example, if I'm looking for a particular monastery in a particular area, it gives me the locations of the other things so that I can plan it more better. But there are also shortcomings, especially in the names. Different languages, different spellings for the same place. So those shortcomings are there. But the thing is, it has put whatever the information it has together in a very easily reachable way. So there is that. But I have to say, about as soon as Wikipedia started, long time ago, I edited some information on Wikipedia, and somebody else went back to the previous one, and I stopped editing. So, I mean, if any information out there is there, but it's up to you to judge what you want, how it should be used and everything. And I'm not going to use my time to correct something and then find 2 weeks later that they have gone back to the original. So, but that is why I agree that, I disagree with Mr. Dissanayake that I think it should be when there is some sort of management or control of the information, because however much Matthew looks down upon himself, I have found the information to be very exact and very useful. Whatever is there has been researched well or has been selected very well. There is other than the names, which is usually very difficult to correct, because like if you take a Central Asian site, it has the native name, it has the Chinese name, it has an English name, it has a French name, it has a Japanese name, Russian name, Russian spelling. So how do you put it together? Because if you are a Russian looking at this site, then you will put the Russian spelling and you won't find it. And if you are a Chinese, you would put phonetic spellings, the phonetics. And if you are a Westerner, they will put weight giles. So these are different spellings which needs to be considered. But other than that, I found it as an entrance to a new site or even to know more about surrounding site. And I also find the Google Maps, you can, rather than going by yourself, because Wikipedia also has the links. But this one I find a little bit more easier to use in a third world country for some reason. The link goes exactly to the spot rather than what is in Wikipedia. You have to go on, but this one is a little bit easier to go directly to the site. And I also find that when I go to the Google map, I look at all the other sites marked in it, and I know the reference, 200 to 1,200 years. So that gives me, rather than the Wikipedia which has like too many sites. So I should say you should try it out for yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Bindu. I think I'm sure that there would be more questions, but we don't have time to take them on. Thank you very much, Professor, your consideration. Introduce the next speaker for this roundtable, Mr. Pratapanand Jha. He is the director of the Cultural Informatics. I haven't come across this department in any other organization than the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts. And in India, he has pioneered a very notable initiative of digitally mapping the archaeological sites, not necessarily related to Buddhism, in association with the archaeological survey. So more he would tell himself about the work which he has initiated, the problems which he has encountered, and what is the next level to which he is seeing his work to be taken to. Mr. Jha, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Gar. And this Augustus Catherine. Basically, I am not from the archaeology background, neither from the Buddhist background. This paper which I am going to present here is on two main themes. One is that whenever we are doing the documentation, it's not reaching to the public. And either it goes to the departments who is funding the research and lies there in their stores, or it goes to the digital media and is sitting in some of the cities and DPD. So if these research, again, it is not going to the society, it is not revitalized again and again, then what is the purpose of this research? Secondly, for the same aspect, if we talk about it, not only to the archaeology, it's equally to the other departments also, like the anthropology. So anthropology also do a lot of research. And there are a lot of mappings which are created. So the paper is mainly focused on that. So I will just read give some brief about and why cultural cartography, and that's also a little bit read before I put my presentation. Although on the mapping, after the presentation by Dr. Matthew, I don't have much to say, but on the cultural components, when we talk about the cultural components, since last few decades, the culture has been accepted as the important tool for human development. Through the map, linkages between the cultural geography, environmental factors, lifestyles, and various art practices can be established for the socio-economic developments. It is widely accepted now that culture defines the way of life for individuals, providing a kind of social sphere of action within which they recognize themselves and others, on the one hand, making sense of their experiences and presenting them through various media on others. The rituals, beliefs, and value systems mediate between the two levels that makes for a people's cultural identity. The creativity of artists celebrates harmony with nature. The role of the artist is to create a sense of reverence and beauty among the people for their sacred landscapes. In identifying the development processes in the framework of moral order, cultural identity and creativity, UNESCO seeks to strengthen the cultural dimension of development. At the launch of World Decade for Cultural Development, Federico Mayer, Director General of UNESCO said, and I quote, "The experience of the last 2 decades has shown the culture cannot be disassociated from the development in any society, whatever its level of economic growth or its political and economic orientation. Wherever the country has set itself the target of economic growth without reference to its cultural environment, economic and cultural imbalances have resulted and its creative potential has been seriously weakened." Unquote. In India, the concept of mapping of water bodies, mountains, religious centers goes back to the period of Rig Veda. The Rig Veda hymn 1075-5. It records the great rivers of India, namely Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Sutudri, Parswini, Aksini, Vitasta, Susuma comes first to the minds as tirthas at the religious centers. Ancient Buddhist text Buddha Nikaya maps 16 great kingdoms and republics, that is the Mahajanpadas, which had evolved and flourished in the belt stretching from Gandhara in the northwest to Anga in the eastern part of Indian subcontinent. Another Buddhist text, Digha Nikaya, and also the Chulu Nidesha, he also talks about these 16 Mahajanpadas with the slightly different nominations. Similarly, the Upastha Sutta talks of Panch Mahajali. However, the visual representation of the mapping started quite late. It becomes a part of curriculum in geography and later used by almost every disciplines to display their knowledge and resources. There are a number of organizations in India that is working in the area of developing cultural cartographic atlas for the cultural heritage of India. The Archaeological Survey of India and a recently launched National Mission for Monuments and Antiquity is documenting the monuments and antiquities in the country. The National Mission for Manuscripts is surveying the manuscripts wealth across different states. The Anthropological Survey of India has prepared beautiful travel maps for India. The INTAC is similarly engaged in documenting the important monuments, buildings, etc. Other institutions like KP Jaiswal Institute at Patna has also involved in the documentation of the monuments in Bihar. Next, please. Next. Now how to do with these informations which have been collected at the different institutions? There is no convergence. So what we are proposing now, that every department will bring their domain-specific research, and they are excellent in their work. But when it comes to the interdepartmental research or interdisciplinary research, when we talk about, then the scope is very, very limited. A department makes the projects for a site and do some level of the documentation or the digitization and then comes back and submit their reports and the project is closed for them. It is not reaching back or it is not getting evaluated by the research in the same area by the another department. So there is a least interdisciplinary area, it is research in the interdisciplinary area, and that is major focus at this moment. Next, the tangible aspects. So every museum, the curator is involved in documentation of the tangible part of the data, and his whole life goes because he does not have to have time to do more research on the objects which they inherit, or also whatever the knowledge which he has, once he passed out, it goes in his mind and it never gets associated with the tangible object. So basically the information which is there with the tangible object, every tangible object, it is basically the vehicle of the knowledge of the society. And these knowledge, if it is lost somewhere, then what is the purpose of preserving these objects into the museum? So it is a great challenge today that how to protect that intangible information associated with each and every object, each and every size, and each and every monument. So these are the another area. And whatever the research we are doing, the focus is that we will publish it, that research article. So these are the another important issue, that these research articles, once it is published, we feel that the research is completed in itself immediately after the publication. But these research outputs is never being translated to the society, goes back to the society for further value addition by the generations to come, and then again coming back to the archives for storage. So it has to be in a rotation. All the research must go to the society, must have the value addition, and comes back to the institutions or preserving centers or museums, whatever it is. So with that aim, what we are planning to have a cultural cartography involving all these research areas of all these institutions to combine together to mobilize people's individual and collective knowledge locally to stimulate the development, community development. Provide a space for intercultural dialogue. Makes the individual becomes visible, that is the people, history, language, heritage and knowledge systems. It should must come as part of that, and for the value addition, for the further continuation of the research. Also, the dominant societies, dominant cultures, marginalizing the regional cultures. So, the role of the dominant cultures as well as the local cultures will be highlighted, and the change detection over the period of the time in which direction we are moving. Buddhist also has various phases, and even in the various phases there are the various types of developments, and the society has accepted that. Society does not have any problem to accept the changes, but these changes must be recorded and must be in line with the change acceptance of the society. So these are some of the aims, and with these aims we are planning initially to integrate few of these layers into the cultural map, that is the built heritage, peoples of India, religions, language and literature, performing arts, crafts and textiles, food and local medicines, prehistoric rock art sites, oral traditions, sacred landscapes, pilgrimage routes, and individual and collective knowledge and beliefs. So these are some of the areas which you are planning that we will add one by one. But in that, there are challenges. Distribution of data. These data is distributed to the different institutions. Lack of coordinating agency, as well as lack of coordination between the agencies. So one has to take a strong role to integrate between these, and the limited expertise in the interdisciplinary subjects. When we thought that we integrate that, then the immediate questions which came from the ministry, that why everybody will give you the data? You don't have any data. And then we thought that how we start there. And then we, with the Archaeological Survey of India, started documentation of non-protected monuments of India. And that way, we thought that once we will have some data, then you can ask other parties also to share their data in that condition. When we started that documentation, also we have done for few states, we have estimated to have around approximately 2 lakh monuments in India, less than 5%, specific to 3,760 sites maintained under the Archaeological Survey of India, and approximately same number is also with the state archaeology departments. So the remaining more than 1,22,000 sites are still unprotected. This is the estimate. And also the institutions who are doing some work in this area, they are also not very much agreed to share their data. So that's also one of the issues. So that we'll discuss it. And when we thought that how to start this documentation, then we thought that we will start with this Buddhist Odisha, and in the Odisha, God found approximately 1,006 site archaeological monuments, sites some list because few sites having more than one monument. And when talking to the Buddhist site now, when I have been told to present a paper, then I was searching that what are the Buddhist sites in Odisha, what you have documented, and then we found that there are hundreds of sites in the Cuttack and Nagpur districts, which is basically the Buddhist archaeological sites. And 3 sites, which is called the Lalitgiri, Ratnagiri and the Udayagiri, These constitute the diamond triangle of the Odishan tourism, and the latest excavated site is the Langudi, which has been excavated in 1999 to 2003, and in 2004 it becomes taken over by the ESA for the development and maintenance. We have prepared a documentation format for the documentation of these sites. I show from some of these from my sites.
You can operate from there. And we have a mic.
So here you see that some of the sites we have documented. When you click on the Odisha, these are the districts of the Odisha. And I will click on the Jajpur, and these are these sites in that particular district. If I click on, this gives the format in which we basically collected the information from the field. And we have just, as the database is not ready at this moment, what we have tried, we have just made the PDF format and put it with that. On the side, this is a 5-page document. And here is the complete details about the site.
Does it also have a visual record?
Yeah, and then, sorry, what is the site? Okay. So, for the same site, we wanted to see the images. So all the images of the site, so more than 50 or 60 images are there in this particular site. We're trying to integrate some basic database so that the user can search easily. No. Here we have provided the basic search. So if someone wanted to search of the data which is there, Udayagiri. These are the few monuments, few components that monuments of that particular site, and then about the site. So one can see all the images of that particular site. Few places we have put some video also, again very low quality so that anybody can see it, because the net connectivity is not very good everywhere. So here at this moment, although this data is not verified, whatever the way it came from the site as it is, we have put it here. And here you have approximately 20,000 sites at this moment we have put it. It's not converting into the database. Now what we are planning. Go to next. Next. So these are the few sites. Out of the 1,000 sites of the Odisha, we have made the database for approximately 300 sites, which you have seen it highlighted. Coming to the next. And these are the major components when we have collected the data. This is very important in the sense that now when we are planning to have the multiple layers of the data or multiple maps to integrate, what can go into which map. So keeping that in mind, if you see on the first column, the description and the approach to the site, that is very important for the tourist map of India. If we talk about the period of the site, is very important for the historical map of India. If we talk about the orientation and the plan, is important for the architectural map of India. If we talk about the ornamentation, internal, external, and this is for the design patterns, iconography also. Movable objects again for the iconographic database if you are integrating it. And then the building techniques, material for conservation goes to the construction engineering databases, and then the rituals and the associated audio visuals will go to map the community. Secondly, if we make another database for the anthropological data, then again the community will take dominance, and that database will be integrated with the art and crafts, local produce. And when we talk of the local produce, it will be linked with the agricultural or other produce which is being developed, and that will relate with the water management plan and the irrigation plan. So all these are interlinked. So until unless we link all these data together, it will be extremely difficult to integrate this. And now coming to few images which I have also put onto the database, we can go extend. So these are the Udayagiri sites, Mahastupa, and the monastery one. Madhav Bihar is the part of Madhav Bihar. These are all from the Madhav Bihar side. This is another monument again on the Udayagiri side. It is called the Simplast, and again few visuals are there from that particular monastery. And then a couple of visuals from the rock cut side. Today also there was one discussion, logical discussion on the Nagarjuna Ponda side, and it was felt that the peoples are not get associated with these sites. And I feel that in the education system also we have to reorient. Like if we teach the students history in the classroom, they won't learn because that is the pure textual reading. So until unless we will make some changes that the history should be learned at the site, and until unless that modifications we will not give into the students, then nobody will come to this area. Not only that, even in the Sanskrit the same thing is there. Nobody is going to read the Sanskrit because Sanskrit is defined itself to only the language. All the resources which we have into the manuscripts, whether it's the archaeological or the architecture. While I was doing the engineering, I was not knowing that the Samarangam Sutradhar has a lot of information about the engineering. So similarly, the students of medical science is not knowing what the Susut Samhita or Sarak Samhita is there. So until unless we involve at the teaching, and that is why in one of my papers which I presented for the World Sanskrit Conference in January, I submitted that at least one paper of Sanskrit indicating the areas, related areas of their subject in Indian text must be included both in the engineering and the medical sciences. So these are the things. So until unless we will not involve the students at very beginning level, they will not get involved into knowing the things. And then the beneficiaries, if we talk of the policy makers and a few new acts which you are planning to make, like the conservation protection of the built heritage, irrigation, water management techniques, harvesting, food and local medicines, arts and crafts based on the local medicines, protection from the deforestations. These are the things which take immediate care so that the development at the ground level can be continued, or these data can be used for the ground level development at the society. And to conclude, again, I'll try to quote Rigved that until unless the environment and the society will not play and continue to place themselves in the harmony, it will be extremely difficult to continue for the longer run. I read Madhvata Ritayate Madhukcharant Sindhuva Advirna Santosdi Madhunaktam Mutosuso Madhumat Parthavangraja Madhutyo Rastuna Pita Madhamanlo Vanaspati Madhuman Nastu Surya Madhvirgavo Bhavatuna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jha. That was a very well documented overview of various initiatives that your department and has initiated, and the need for continuation of such event. Now the first question from Dr. Sushant Dapunandageke.
It's not a question, it's actually a confession. I have been interacting with your group on palm manuscripts for the last 2 years. Asiatic Society Sri Lanka, we are trying to put all the palm leaf manuscripts of Sri Lanka online. At the moment we have scanned 10,000 strips, and together with the National Science Foundation we have scanned all the medical manuscripts of Sri Lanka online, and then later go on to others. We have not yet put those online. We have begun to put in collaboration with the Archaeology department. The Archaeology department commissioner is a very open person, and he said, put and scan and put it online. So I said, we will give it to you to put it on your line. So we have put all the Sri Lankan inscriptions online which are published, including the stamp layers. We want to hyperlink them with the sites, but we have manpower problem, all types of things. I tried to, just an aside, the Archaeological Department, the National Museums, the archives were creations of the Asiatic Society. And the collections there were partial collections. So I tried to do the same with the museum. And I said, we scan the stuff, put it on tape. We also tried to do with archives, not successful. So that, there are varieties. So we are going now to primary temples, and when I'm scanning and put it on that. It will be a long time. We have no money. We go and pick. Sometimes we steal also. Sometimes I have a son, who from whom I steal money and put it as anonymous donor. But anyway, that's how it was. Excellent work.
Just to add to what Dr. Shrihans said, that Mr. Jha is facing the identical problem within India. This Archaeological Survey of India is like a stone throw distance from the office where he sits in. But to make them agree to share the information that they have, and they are sitting on a hold of information. Yesterday, Dr. Kaka was talking about the glass negatives that they have in Pakistan. There's a huge repository of glass negatives which I have seen myself. And it will disintegrate in course of time, but they are not, we're very reluctant to share it with the public at large. They are digital phobic. If we use this word. And but the thing is that when we cannot sit here and criticize and feel contented, we have to move away and we have to take it to the next level so that some benefit can be drawn from the data or the information, the source that we already possess. Next question will be from Dr. Anand Singh, then we come to Crystal, then to Nila Sarai, and if time remains, then you and Dr. This and I.
Congrats, Dr.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Congrats, Dr. Jha and the Center for its monumental work. Not a question, it's a personal query that you have mentioned that policy maker can use this data. So I think that the commission is not policy maker. How we can use this data and what we have to do for that. If we can directly just use what is the policy. There are certain policies that
No, this data is free. You can use any time. You can download anything.
And if there is any policy like Indo-US relations says that minimum money you have to pay and acknowledge when you're going to publish 2 copies, send to it. Archaeological Survey of India just say some government are there. It is not mentioned here simply that the policymaker can use and utilize this one. So it is yeah. And second, the important thing is that the pictures that is shown here is hopefully not directly taken, digitalization of the scan copy.
No.
No.
It's a
digitized photograph. So a number of museums now they are doing, like Sardam has done that, and some archaeological institute that they are the statues that are available. They are directly taking the colored photo and they are going parallel. That black and white that was.
No, this is directly taken from the site itself.
Digital photographs. And it was not very clear, so we think that. So this is my information. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, such type of a project was started in our province, and they were mapping of tangible and intangible cultural heritage of the province. So it's not only you or the Directorate of Archaeology of Indian government, everywhere is going on. So when the director was going from the Directorate of Archaeology and Museum, so the whole project was taken away by him. And so far I don't know what happened further to it, but they have implemented a lot of districts of the province, like Peshawar, Mardan, they were doing it in Mardan, and in some districts they have stopped the work because of the security reasons. So maybe we can cooperate in this project with each other and we can learn from each other.
I have a question to request your permission to turn around and to ask, Venerable, if you may, and if I may ask the question, because this is a conference on Buddhism, Buddhist sites, and here are all the scholars with a lot of knowledge and a lot of devotion to work for the best to preserve whatever can be preserved and to bring the knowledge to the public. Now, may I ask, Venerable, what is the position of the clergy, the monks? What is your contribution to all this? Because you should not be left out of all what the scholars are doing.
A good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Actually, today I am the first day here, so I haven't understand correctly the confident yet, but according to for your kind of questions, I would like to explain how and which we have a contribution to the Buddhist religion, and especially to the rich international conference. Actually, we try our best to study and to additionally work for our Buddhist culture, and we hope we will try to study more and more and understand this reference more deeply, and we hope in the future we will make a little contribute to our Buddhist cultures. Thank you very much.
Venerable sir.
Really, it is very innovative step which you have taken with cultural agency given to you. In fact, it really the way you are talking about the taking it to the masses, from that to the front line. In fact, it reminds me of the getting from the plan, where directly district level, this micro study that you are bringing to the micro study of this whole culture, you are going to mapping of that. And then it will bring really whatever, even you might have read over the Buddha, the book published by Oxford Press. And really, the way you should go to like SAARC, take it up to map all the district. I think it's really a big project, like Narega, that even the young students. So I think it is a very innovative step. I really wish you all success.
I try to start with what Dr. Sanjay Garg mentioned about digital copy, because I think that's the whole issue. If we can have everything in the public domain, we can avoid a lot of duplication of research, and we save a lot of money, and we should try to find the funding somehow for what Dr. Buddha is doing with our scrolls. Because if Israel would find the funds for digitizing the entire Dead Scrolls, which is now available online, I'm sure that we could find the funding from, I think it is CNN who funded the Dead Scrolls. So probably if we get around, and also if we
I agree with the idea, but the problem here is that the institution who is holding the original information, they are not ready to share. I have digitized more than 6 crore pages. I have digitized on the manuscripts, but that's not in the public domain. So it hurts me that even for the 4 or 5 years, day and night, I have done that particular digitization, but everything is lying either in the server or in some CDs, and it is not in the public domain.
Yeah, but we can't do everything at once. But if we start now, we have started with our elite scrolls. Little by little, I think we can do it. And if we can hyperlink all these sites, then share a lot of sense, time and everything,
Just to quick, because in my previous avatar, I was working in the National Archives of India, and we are neighbors also in Delhi, just across the road. And we faced the similar dilemma of the ownership of the objects. Even the photographs are technically owned by the owners of the antiquities. In this case, the Archaeological Survey of India or the National Museum or the State Museum. So unless their explicit permission is obtained, and which there lies the problem, what Dr. Shushanta was, they have got the digital copies, but it's not a question of how to hyperlink it, how to publish it on web. The question is to obtain that piece of paper which allows you to do that.
No. It is total ignorance. Okay, pardon me for saying this. I speak openly. You know,
can we have a mic?
Yeah. You know your NIAS, no? National Institute of Advanced Studies. Professor Narsinger. Yeah, Professor Narsinger and I about 10 years ago organized several international conferences. And at that time he started scanning the manuscripts. So he showed me, and he said, Susanta, I will train your guys, and maybe even do it for you. So I said, I don't live in Sri Lanka. I came here, spoke to the authorities, they said, we are not interested in digitization. Right. So it's not just but let's go back. But we are going back to the original temple.
Let me rephrase what I said. It's not the non-obtainability of that piece of paper, which could stem from ignorance, reluctance, phobia, or whatever, or combined together. The last question from Professor Vidurajeshwar. Conspiracy.
Because I was going to support archaeological survey. So,
not to let Indians speak.
Right. No, my inquisitiveness is that at one point you were saying that you are doing digitalization on behalf of archaeological survey. The contradiction is that we all are spelling out that the material is not available. And what I was wondering that when you started this work, how did it proceed? Was someone, did someone ask you to give a planning for making it digital, all these archaeological sites, maybe antiquities, whatever we have as a heritage wealth, and also you gave a large list of, handicrafts, maybe some of these people, landscape and all that. And as he was saying, there could be duplications also, because as you yourself realize that, we are not, inter-department dialogue is almost nil. So, how this has been initiated and whether number of people are doing, and at one point I also find contradictions that, people are asking, I believe, to you, giving contracts that, for National Mission is asking you to do this for them, Archaeological Survey is asking, because I know that at one point Archaeological Survey was very, very serious about what Sanjay was saying, making all these, class negative digital, and we all had raised voice because at one point I was member of KABA also. So I was just wondering, because there's too much of a chaotic picture coming out of what you have given to us.
This pilot project, when we started, the idea was, even before that I had done some work for the Department of IT. So Department of IT has funded the whole project, and the earlier project was on the digitization of the manuscripts. And agency is in the position of approximately 300,000 manuscripts from the 64 institutions in India and approximately 15 institutions in Europe. And when we have done the digitization, at the last stage of that digitization project, they told that whatever you are digitizing from the Department of IT's fund, that you have to make it into the public domain. But we didn't have the agreement with that particular institutions from where we have got the manuscripts. So then the last moment it issues. But they told that anyhow you have done 90% of the work, so you complete that work, but this issue will continue. So then we have given to written to the different institutions, and no reply came from the institution. In between they told that now that project is over, why don't you take up a new project in which there will be no copyright issue. And that was the first thing. And then we thought that we will go for the unprotected monuments. And when we thought that we will go for the unprotected monuments, at that time National Mission for Monuments and Antiquity were evolving. And their mandate was to do the documentation only on the basis of the secondary sources. So they decided that they will not go to the sites. all their documentation is only on the basis of the secondary sources. So then I suggested them that if you are not doing directly on the site, and we have shown them that in 2010 we have documented a site in ASI site in Delhi, which is not in existence today. Although at that time it was in very ruined condition. So, but anyhow, we have photographed that there was 9 inches website. So that was the proof. So I told them that you are not going on the site. So why don't you align us to do the documentation not only for the unprotected sites, for the ASI sites also, so that at least in the same format, with the same data, with the latitude and longitude, I will have all the data also available. Condition was that they will allow me to put it into the website. And the DIT has given me the fund only after the ASI agreed to give this data for that pilot project. So after the 7 states, I am at fault at this moment. So for that 7 states, I don't have any problem. I have put all the data, even this Ratnagiri and Udagiri to all the ASI sites. I have put all on the website, and that is why I have decided the moment the data was coming, I was putting into the website, even if the database is ready or not.
Quite a breakthrough. Yeah. Bravo.
Thank you very much. We have already overshot the time to no more questions. I will just make a couple of quick summarizing points and then a couple of announcements. I think this roundtable that we have convened has opened a new vista into which a lot of promising progress could be made. We talked about the cultural cartography in this particular session, but we can think of cultural cartography and beyond. We already had this Wikipedia sort of a catalog. We already have an atlas, electronic atlas, which Professor Shiok was mentioning about. And the challenges which Mr. Shah and Professor Shiok was also mentioning about the challenges and perils in this exercise. Divakar pointed about that the authenticity of the data. Well, any catalog doesn't do a research for you, that you have to do yourself. So it is just a source of information. Take it at a face value, reject it or rubbish it. So keeping that caveat in our mind when we access this information or data or use it, it has got a great potential, which Bindu was pointing out. The cautious approach which we have to tread in taking this path is about the data and the metadata. If I were to give you a pen drive or a CD without telling you what it contains, which software it requires to open it, it's just a piece of plastic for you. So the unfortunate part is that we do not have the standards as far as the cultural cartography, cultural cataloging is concerned. What are the coordinates? Unless we have the common fields, we cannot have the comparables. I mean, comparison can be done only with the comparables. So these are the challenges which we have to keep in mind and grow from this simple understanding. Last, Professor Shiok was mentioning about the UID. Now UID, if you think of it, it has got a great potential. Think of a situation where all the antiquities which are in public and private museums, you can extend it to the private collections, individual collections, are identifiable with this UID number. All that we hear of clandestine trade of antiquities, the treasure hunting, which is so rampant in this country and in other countries as well. The moment the antiquity moves, everyone knows that what is the UID of this antiquity. So it has got tremendous potential which we have to harness. And we have to take it up to the next and the next and the next level. So I think we thank both the speakers for their brilliant contribution. And we end this session with a great round of applause for both of them. And we thank all the best to the couple of announcements. After the tea is being served, and after the tea, we'll be taking all of you to the National Museum. The vehicle will leave at 3:30. I can make it 3:35. That was what was, I'm reading what the announcement was saying. So, again, let me rephrase it. As soon as you have a quick cup of tea, please come to the first floor, assemble there. The vehicle would be waiting for you to take to the museum. I mean, it is in our benefit that the more time you have to spend at the National Museum. The second is for the evening dinner, you have got the invitation cards which were kept on your table in your absence like a bomb. This is a wonderful experience I'm sure that you would have to go to the sets of this mega epic which has already been filmed, Siddhartha Gautama, and the dinner hosted by the Light of Asia Foundation. The vehicle would leave, we'll organize the vehicle. And finally, on Saturday we are taking the delegates to the field trip to Anuradhapura. Please sign it whether you would like to join or not, because we'll have to arrange the vehicles accordingly. I see a dwindling number from yesterday, and I don't know how many of you would be visible tomorrow. So please do sign your willingness to join in the post-conference tour on 25th. Thank you very much. Cup of tea and let's do it.